Well, Mike, unfortunately, it is telling me that I do not have permission to go live on Facebook. Was that feature turned on for this event?
That's a good question. Let me look and see.
Okay.
Wonder why, because you're the host, you should be able to do this. They did it last night.
Oh, yeah.
Me.
Yep, did it last night, no problem.
And I actually don't know how to do this. It says you have it.
Let me try again. No, you do not have permission to live stream. Well, crud.
Facebook Live. It's there. It's part of the configuration, and you can see the controls, right?
Yeah, click on the more, and then it should just let me go live on Facebook, and then it should connect me to Facebook. But instead, it goes to a Zoom screen that says you do not have permission to live stream. So
well, you could try swapping permissions back and forth.
That's what I was just going to suggest. Yeah, let's try that.
Go ahead and hit me, and then I'll hit you back. Okay. You are now the host again.
I'm now the host again. Okay, let's try it again. Nope.
Well, that's the unfortunate part of.
It could be a Facebook issue too, because I really did. I did this like, you know, 24 hours ago, less than 24 hours ago, and it worked. So.
Were you logged in as you on like the web page, so it knows it's you?
Logged in on Facebook, you mean?
No, in other words, did you go to zoom.iu.edu and log in there?
Oh, today or last night? I don't recall doing that either time.
Well, you might try that. That might finalize your permissions.
Yeah, let's give it a try.
So just go to a web page, doesn't matter what it is. Go to zoom.iu.edu and log in. And it should know that it's you.
Okay.
Which may be the reason why you're having.
That was it, Mike.
I guessed right?
Yep, you sure did.
Okay, I'm going home because, you know, one right guess, and that's it. I'm not going to chance a wrong guess today.
All right, everybody. I'm going to hit a button and we're going to go live on Facebook.
Okay.
Okay, preparing live stream for preview. This will take a second, and then I have to hit another button. It's never actually just one button.
And by the way, there's nobody in the attendee pod yet.
Okay. All right, now we are live. No, we haven't. So many buttons.
And you're recording.
Yeah, it's moving a little bar. It's setting it up for webinar.
Okay, and if you want, are you going to go ahead and put your PowerPoint out there?
I am going to do it now. We are live on Facebook now. Yeah.
Yay. Yay for us.
There we go. All right, so we'll let this go for just a minute, and then we will get going. All right, well, we've got some viewers coming on Facebook. So I'm just going to give this a couple more slides and then we'll get started. Okay. Great. Hello, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get things started here for us today. So, all right. Sorry about this. 1 second here, folks. Mike, I just want to make sure that that I am set properly for people to view speakers.
Check that.
Because
Could you make me co-host, please?
yeah.
You are good.
Okay. All right, everybody. Hi, thank you for being here today. My name is Erin Kelly, and I'm the program director for Spirit and Place. I want to welcome you to this pre-concert chat for In the Beginning, 3 Spirits, 3 Myths, 3 Fates. Now, this is a concert that, again, is a part of the Spirit and Place Festival, and it is going to debut tonight at 7:30. There is still plenty of time, if you've not already, to RSVP for this event and to get the various links that you can use to watch the concert. I'm assuming a lot of people who have logged in today already have that information, but you can always share it with friends and family members to go to spiritandplace.org, click on this event and RSVP for it tonight. You know, COVID-19 has presented us with a lot of challenges this year with the festival, but one of the good things is that many of these events that we're going to be that we have in the festival this year are being recorded and you can watch them later. And certainly the concert that is going to debut tonight falls into that scenario, which is pretty awesome. So if for some reason you can't watch it tonight, or you've got friends or family members who you think would enjoy it but can't participate tonight, you're going to be able to watch it really throughout the duration of November, which is pretty exciting. So before we get things started with Colette Abel and Dana Stone, I want to actually begin with a new practice that we're beginning to institute at Spirit and Place, and we want to carry forward into future festival events. And that is to acknowledge that we are standing on the traditional homelands of the Miami, Potawatomi, Shawnee, and others, people who were unjustly removed from this land. And we want to acknowledge that our origin story as a community begins with them. I also want to thank Spirit and Place's sponsors who helped make the festival possible: Lilly Endowment Incorporated, the Allen Whithill Clues Charitable Foundation, Bolson Group, the Indianapolis Foundation, a CICF affiliate, and the IU School of Liberal Arts at IUPUI. And lastly, I just want to encourage everyone who is watching right now, whether you're on Zoom or on Facebook, please visit spiritandplace.org. Check out all of the events that we have going on in this year's festival, but also make sure you take an online survey after attending events. We at Spirit and Place and our event partners really do rely on these surveys to help guide our work, and it really helps us understand what you, the community, want from us. So please do go to spiritandplace.org and click on that survey. Now, I am very excited to introduce Colette Abel and Dana Stone. They are going to be talking to us tonight about the concert that's going on. And I just want to give a personal thanks to Colette, who has now created events for the Spirit and Place Festival. I think going on the last 4 or 5 years. She's been a really committed independent artist creating events within the festival. And I'm so grateful for her energy and her support of Spirit and Place. And I'm going to turn it over to you two now. Thank you.
Well, hello, Colette. How are you doing?
Hi, Dana. Great to see you.
It's good to see you too. Well, I wanted to start today on this conversation. You know, Erin alluded to the many years that you've been involved with Spirit and Place, and just wanted you to share what motivated you to get connected with this festival many years ago.
Well, the concert tonight will be my 5th concert that I've created for Spirit and Place. And I think the way I began was in 2014. My youngest child, my daughter, graduated from high school. And so in that year, I was daydreaming about, well, what shall I do now? I'd gotten her off to college, and I came across the application for the Spirit and Place Festival, and I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. It's the theme was dreams, and I'm sort of a dreamer, so I decided to apply, and really a program came to me just as if in a dream. It was all there, and I partnered with St. Paul's Episcopal Church, where my children had been part of the choir school for over a decade. And so I applied and was surprised and delighted to be chosen as a participant.
Cool. So you mentioned that the theme from the original year is what drew you into the festival. What about this year's theme of origins connected with you, and what inspired you to choose the repertoire that you'll be presenting this evening?
Well, not every theme has come so easily as that first one. And so I began first with a lot of soul searching. You know, I thought about my parents and my grandparents and my own origins. And I lost my mother last year. So this year, around the time that the application was due, I was thinking a lot about her, and the pandemic and the lockdowns kind of coincided with Lent. So my mother was such a devout woman, but the most steady in her faith of anyone I've ever known. And she was a Catholic. She attended daily mass for almost her whole life. As a young woman, she entered the convent, and after a brief period discovered that that was not the life that you know would be good. And so she abandoned that plan, but she did not abandon her faith. And even on her deathbed, she told me, you know, for me, faith is very simple. And she recited what she had learned in her first catechism. And, you know, she just lived her life in that very simple ideas, but very strong. And so she had actually recommended a piece for the Spirit and Place Festival three festivals ago, which I performed. It was the Messiaen Quartet for the End of Time. And that is a complicated piece to program with because it's such a massive piece and 8 movements. And so one of the pieces I chose was the Bieber Crucifixion Sonata. And that was kind of my introduction to Heinrich Bieber and these amazing compositions called 16 sonatas based on the mystery of the Rosary. And so each sonata is dealing with a different event in the life of Mary. And the very first sonata, the Annunciation, begins the whole cycle. And I thought, what a perfect beginning for the concert, you know, the angel Gabriel coming to Mary and announcing that she will bear God's son. That certainly is the origin of, you know, Christianity and important in the Catholic faith. So, and then that just served as a springboard for other pieces to put with it on the program.
Very interesting. So thematically, would you say that the origins, the pieces that you've chosen tend to tie mostly to the Christian faith, or are there others explored?
No, I'm actually exploring three faiths in the
Okay.
first part of the program. The second piece I'm playing is a duo with my husband, who Alfred, he is my duo partner and my life partner. And I've had this piece for some time in my cupboard of music and never had a chance to explore it. It is it's by an American woman composer who is still living, and Augusta Reed Thomas. And the piece is called Rumi Settings. And it's based on the poetry of the ancient mystic poet of Islam, Rumi, who I knew nothing about. So that was quite an education for me to learn about him, and his life, and learn this piece of music, which is quite rewarding to have discovered. And then the next piece on the program is from the Jewish faith. It is the beautiful Kol Nidre, which many people know and play. This is my first time to learn it, and I love it. And then the second part of the program is more dealing with fantasy and myth. And yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. That's fascinating. It's interesting how you've tied those three little origin stories together. So you mentioned a minute ago, and that you will be playing with Alfred. Is there anyone else playing on this program that you'd like to let us know about?
Yes, I would. The first piece on the program, I'm playing with my daughter, Clara, who has just started a second master's in historic performance. And we are being joined by Brad Hughley, who's playing the portative organ, and he is the organist and choir director at St. Paul's Church. So we have a history going back with him. And what's interesting about the way we are performing that piece, it kind of also ties in with origins, because we're using original instruments, which are a little bit different than modern instruments. They're set up with lower tension. The strings are made of gut, and the tuning is almost a full half step lower than traditional tuning. And so since my daughter is, in this program, my brother, who has a Baroque violin, he said, I will lend it to you for the next 2 years so that you can, learn along with Clara, and maybe collaborate on some things. So that was a interesting experience, because it doesn't have a chin rest and you can't put a shoulder rest on it. And I felt like kind of a beginner, like, how do you hold this thing? But I love the sound, and I hope to develop my playing on that as Clara studies in her program.
So will Clara be playing on a historic instrument as well?
Well,
Okay.
well, she had not gotten her Baroque cello yet because of the pandemic, and Juilliard was closed, but she has it now. But so the viewers won't be able to see her on her authentic instrument, but Brad Hughley has the portative organ, and that is certainly something that is different than the big organ that most people think of in church. And another person that I have to mention is my pianist, Colleen Strutz. She's responsible for all of the miracles that are happening in this concert, and she took on a huge undertaking to learn the repertoire with me. And I'm really grateful for her having taken it on and said yes, because I know it was not easy music to learn. So
Well, we have touched on origins a few times. And speaking of that, you are an original member of the ICO, the Indianapolis Chamber Orchestra, and our origin. So I thought maybe you could just share a little bit about seeing the ICO develop over the past 35, 36 years.
Sure. Well, I got in the orchestra, like you mentioned, 35 years ago. And, I don't want to give too many clues as to my age, but I was roughly the age of my child when I got in this orchestra. So I was a tender, sweet young thing. And it was exciting to be part of, like, on the ground floor. The orchestra started basically the Lockerbie Quartet, who my friend Donna Clark, who's still in the orchestra, my colleague Margie Hanna, and then two other members of the quartet were our former concertmasters, Sherban Lupu and Margaret Jones, who are out of the area now. But David Ernest spoke with the members of the quartet and said, what would be the chances that we could just, form an orchestra, and the quartet could kind of be the principals, and we could expand and play music in the church. And, they ran with this idea, and it was called Musicians of the Cloister. I love that name. And we were playing at Trinity Episcopal Church. It's right across the street from my house. So it was a really beautiful space. And, we had some good times back then, but then the orchestra kind of got some growing pains, and we decided we wanted to be more than just a church orchestra. And so we hired a new music director, and the orchestra organized a little more, and we had more stringent auditions processes. And I know there were some really tough years where it was questionable whether we could survive, but the musicians were so committed, and we loved what we were doing. We loved playing together, and we all stuck through the hard times. And it's, I think, thriving today. It's a pity that the pandemic has, made it so difficult for many organizations, including the ICO. But I'm sure that with the the spirit of the musicians will come through this as well.
Definitely. Well, you kind of touched on the next thing I wanted to talk about. As you mentioned, the pandemic has created some very difficult challenges to performing, especially in live venues with traditional audiences. The model of what we are and what we have been has been forced to change. And ICO is not unique to that. It's not unique to us. But this is maybe your first recording session in like a small group. And I just thought maybe you could share some of the experience it was in recording something that traditionally would be performed live with an audience, and like reflections on that experience.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it has good and bad things about it. I think a performance is wonderful because you just come to the concert hall and you feel the energy from the people that are listening, and you feel adrenaline or this excitement, and you can't really get that as much with no one in the room. And although I did consider my recordings performances for the person who was running the camera, because he'd never heard me play before, and he was there in the church, and my pianists and my colleagues were there. And so musically, I think, we captured the spirit of the music. But I think one of the drawbacks is when you're in a live performance, the audience is with you. They're focused on what you're doing in the moment. And I think when people are watching a virtual concert, they're just at home and the dogs are there and the kids are around and people are talking and eating. And, I think it's more difficult to really focus on what the musician is saying and bringing about. It's almost a little bit like background music if you don't make a real commitment to connect.
Mhm.
And I think that's just, one of the things about the screen. It doesn't feel as real somehow.
Mhm. So
But
what suggestions would you give an audience member that's going to attend the virtual concert this evening?
well, I would for one thing, I think I would urge people to try to find the PDF of the program notes and the program, and try to um, understand the background of the compositions and how the pieces relate to each other and to the theme of origin. I think it's a really rich topic, and it will be worth your investment in, you know, it'll give you a lot to think about, not only while you're listening to the concert, but after it's over. And so I think that can sort of center people.
Mhm. That's great. So what do you think the audience should expect from this evening?
Oh, well, it's about an hour and 15 minutes worth of music, and they're going to hear a wide range of styles. They're going to hear ancient music from the Baroque era. They're going to hear contemporary music written not that long ago. And they're going to hear in between some just really exquisitely beautiful compositions, from the classical period, from the romantic period, and the late, almost impressionistic and early 20th century. And I think the music is so colorful and so varied.
That's wonderful. So what would you say has been the greatest obstacle to making it happen this year in this environment? And what did you find as something that was rewarding of this process?
Okay, well, I am not very tech savvy. So everything, I mean, I have a flip phone and I have to ask my kids, help, can you help me with my phone? And how do I get this on the computer? So everything like that has been a tremendous obstacle for me. And I'm just grateful to my partners and Aaron and my husband and everyone who's helped me to navigate all of these things that I can't really do and don't understand very well. And so that would be on the obstacle side. The rewards, I think, there's kind of a silver lining to a lot of things. I think the silver lining to the whole pandemic is spending time at home and with your family, and just growing closer somehow with those that are closest to you. And one of the silver linings of this virtual concert and not being able to meet, I'm able to include people that live so far away they could never come to one of my concerts. I have a sister-in-law in California who will probably tune in. I have a niece in the Czech Republic that may be able to watch it. And so I think people will be able to see it who would never otherwise get to come to a concert.
Yeah, I think that's a very wonderful thing about the pandemic has been, even though we're far apart, that we can be close together and connected through these technological advances. It allows us to get our mission and our connection with people that might not typically, be able to find us. Thinking back to kind of the early stages of quarantine as a musician in a musical household, did you find that you were making music together? Did any of these kind of performances or the pieces you've chosen date back to that time that you could?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I was playing duets with my husband every night before my son came home. And when my son came home, he played with us some. And in the daytime, as I said, I've really been drawn to these Bieber sonatas. So there are 16 of them, and every one is tuned where you tune your violin a different way to play them. And so I had almost every violin that I own in this house, ones that used to belong to my son, one that used to be Alfred's. I even bought one that's blue from Goodwill, and I tuned them all in these all these different tunings so that I could learn, how the sonatas worked. And I just I got to really love the idea of them and the texts that accompany them. And I hope to, do some more of those down the road. But it was fun. It was a time of discovery and just not having a concert to prepare for all the time. It gave me like space to explore, which was, I think, really beneficial for me personally.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, I know we're wrapping up the amount of time that we have left, so I wanted to touch on a little bit the chamber orchestra and some of the things that we have coming up. I know that you're involved with us.
Yeah.
Our upcoming broadcast next week of Beethoven's Fourth, and then of course our Baroque Christmas concert on December 19th. So if people want to go ahead and mark their calendars for those and join us virtually. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience that might join us this evening?
Well, I hope that you will enjoy the program. And if you have any, comments or questions, I feel I would love for you to feel free to reach out to me either through the ICO or just if you know me personally. I know many people do. You can just call me up.
Yes, and so if any of those listening and attending right now have any questions for Colette or for me, if you want to put those in the Q&A, and we'll hold on for a minute and see if anyone has any questions. Here's a question from Pam. She says, what piece on the program has the most meaning for you personally and why?
Oh, well, um, I really love that Bieber sonata. I had such a good time playing it with my daughter. I felt like we really connected on over something, and I'm excited for her. We actually got to take a lesson on it with her teacher at Juilliard over Zoom, and so that was really neat. And but truthfully, every piece on the concert, I mean, the Szymanowski myths are so incredible. I hope this will not be my last experience with them because those are pieces that could be developed over a longer period of time and I could grow with that music, and I hope to.
Wonderful. So are most of the pieces on the program a combination of instruments, or are there pieces that you're playing solo?
Yeah, there are four pieces that are well, two are viola and piano and two are violin and piano. And again, my the Szymanowski myths are very interesting because the piano and the violin are equal partners. It's not one accompanying the other.
Mm-hmm.
Szymanowski really developed this music with Pavel Kochanski, and they sort of created a whole new sound world together in their collaboration.
Very cool. Well, I know that we're wrapping up on the amount of time that we have allocated today, and so I will thank everyone that's attended and encourage you all to sign up if you haven't on Eventbrite through Spirit in Place's website for tonight's concert, and make sure you connect also with the Indianapolis Chamber Orchestra and some of our exciting concerts this year.
Great. Thank you, everybody. This is Erin again. I just want to thank everyone for tuning in today, and thank Dana and Colette for being a part of this event. I've already bought my tickets to the Baroque Christmas concert, so I'm excited for that, and I can't wait for it. And just thank you again so much for being a part of the Spirit in Place Festival and for helping us better understand how these musical selections came about and how they connect to the Origins theme. Yeah, everybody, please do go to spiritplace.org, sign up for this event, sign up for other events. The program that Colette mentioned, the PDF on that, I actually just linked to it today on our website, so you can find that information there. So again, everybody, thank you, and we look forward to seeing you tonight at the concert.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.